today, President Donald Trump chatted with the media outside of the White House as he was flying somewhere to give one of his crazy rallies. And of course, he was asked questions about Brett Kavanaugh. And this is what he said in defense of Brett Kavanaugh.
What do you say to young men in America? What do you say to young men in America at this moment, and the women?
It's a very scary time for young men in America when you can be guilty of something that you may not be guilty of.
And to young women?
It's a very difficult time. What's happening here has much more to do than even the appointment of the Supreme Court justice. It really does. You could be somebody that was perfect your entire life, and somebody could accuse you of something. Doesn't necessarily have to be a woman, as everybody says, but somebody could accuse you of something, and you're automatically guilty. But in this realm, you are truly guilty until proven innocent. That's one of the very, very bad things that's taking place.
All right, let's go to our panel here. Now, I'm going to start this way, Liz. I want to start with you. Now, Donald Trump is absolutely right. You probably never heard me say that.
I have not.
Donald Trump is right that we live in a time where somebody can make an accusation and then they can assume that a person is guilty. Black folks know that very well, being accused of something they did not do. But this hypocrite who was talking today, maybe the national media should have reminded him of the Central Park Five.
Or the
when it was
Scottsboro
Donald
9.
Trump. When it was Donald Trump. When it was Donald Trump who took out a full-page ad who said the young men in the Central Park Five should get the death penalty. And during the campaign, when they were exonerated, they had been paid as a result. When he was asked, he doubled down and said he still believed it. So, okay, Donald Trump, are you defending young men who are only white men? Or do you think, Liz, he cares about black and brown men who have been unjustly accused?
I think Donald Trump cares about Donald Trump. And this is his Supreme Court nominee. He's only focused on how this is going to impact him, not the Supreme Court, not the accusers, not the allegations at large. And I think it's quite hypocritical that he would make a statement like that, as you just pointed out, for the Central Park Five. But, you know, as an African-American Republican, I'm often a racial minority in my political community. And, you know, having accusations thrown at you, or allegation of being convicted for a crime that you didn't commit is not new to the black community. And I interrupted you, I apologize, but the Scottsboro 9 of 1931, all the way up to the young woman in Connecticut in 2016 who claimed that 2 black men raped her. And she was found guilty of lying, perjury, and got sentenced this year. So the reality is the Innocence Project says that 70% of convictions are due to eyewitness mistaken identity, right? Eyewitness misidentification. So this is something that black people, black Americans have seen over and over again. And now it's coming home to Donald Trump, but only because of a political appointee, not because of something that happened to his son, not because of something that happened to him. And as a woman of color who has black sons, this is something that I've known and I've been very attentive to for since my children were born.
Spencer, I've never heard Donald Trump come to the aid of an African-American who has been unjustly accused, who's been released from prison for a crime that they did not commit.
Right, that's right, Roland. You know, a 15-year-old black boy, right, has to be perfect when he goes around the police and encounters authorities. But a 53-year-old Brett Kavanaugh gets to ask U.S. senators, did they black out? It's a double standard. He doesn't have the temperament. He doesn't have the integrity to serve on the Supreme Court.
Teresa?
I agree. And I think what we're seeing right now is Judge Kavanaugh frazzled. And because he's fragile, I think it's pretty much an actual shock, not only to him, but to the public at large, as a sitting judge of over 2 decades, worked in administrations, had so many appointments and so many rulings. I think this this entire court hearing has proven to be, for him, an unjust system. And I think, we kind of allow Kavanaugh to kind of go through these experiences to let him know, yes, you are a part of this America, and a part of that judgments that you've been giving to individuals over the year, it is now catching up to you. So now what are you going to do to reform? So I'm looking forward to kind of seeing what we're going to do next, even this week with the FBI investigation.
I am just absolutely amused by all the white men who are just all of a sudden just aghast at being accused of something, and being accused of sexual assault, being accused of being drunk. But now all of a sudden we have more and more people. Now you have a police report coming out about him getting into a bar fight and him being drunk. And again, I mean, it has been very amusing watching these white men who are just, oh my God. Yeah. I mean, how dare you? He went to the private school, went to the Jesuit school, and went to Yale, and worked his tail off, all that sort of stuff. And it's like, how dare you challenge me? Right. I mean, that's really what this is. How dare you even question me? I'm a white man.
Yeah, it's the sense of entitlement that is there, Roland. And, they try to blame it like it's some big conspiracy. Oh, it's the Clinton conspiracy here. The Clintons didn't prevent Brett Kavanaugh from taking a lie detector test. The Clintons didn't prevent Mark Judge from coming forward and testifying under oath. There's not a conspiracy here. There's a sense of entitlement.
And let's be clear, Liz and Teresa. Christine Ford, she makes her allegations. Part of the issue when you make allegations against somebody, it's a question of the credibility of your story. Right. We are now seeing the number of people who are coming out and telling their story. John Dickerson of CBS, as a result of this, his wife told him about being sexually assaulted, and she didn't report to the police. Kirsten Powers just revealed for the first time when she was 15 years old, being sexually assaulted, and some things being put in her drinks, and waking up with a man on top of her and her shirt unbuttoned. Even Melanie Campbell, when we were doing our show from the Spirit of Democracy Awards, talked for the first time publicly about her being sexually assaulted by a coworker. So what's been happening is as a result of this hearing, it has caused a number of women. We've seen a spike in a number of women who are even calling sexual abuse lines as a result. And so this is actually causing America to have to confront what is happening to women in this nation.
Right, but I think it's interesting, Roland, because before Brett Kavanaugh's hearing, there was a drop in Republican women who actually supported his nomination. It dropped down to about 18 points or something like that. After his hearing, skyrocketed back up to 70% of Republican women still support the nomination of Brett Kavanaugh. And if I would be so bold to remind the viewers that after the Access Hollywood tapes, Republican women supported Donald Trump in large, and even after Roy Moore, who was accused of molestation and stalking of teenage girls in malls, Republican women still in droves came out to support them. So, as a Republican, I'm looking around, and I know women who have shared with me in private what has occurred to them growing up as, teenagers. And so this issue about sexual assault is highly sensitive, and I'm very attuned to it as a woman and as a woman of color. But when you saw Brett Kavanaugh on Friday, you saw a bold display of white male privilege, the audacity that the nation questioned his word over a woman. And those 11 Republican senators sat there, and in my humble opinion, I believe they saw themselves in Brett Kavanaugh. They didn't see themselves, of course, in the accuser, maybe because of her gender, but they saw themselves in Brett Kavanaugh. And I believe that I know I don't agree with the Democratic conspiracy theory at all, but I do believe that there were some things that happened along this nomination process that were hyper political on both sides of the aisle. But I think at the end of the day, the Republicans see Brett Kavanaugh and they see this president's nomination as a way for them to flex their political muscle. And I don't think they're going to take the issue serious.